Hi, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited that you are interested in learning how to purchase your next home. My name is Mark Schrader, and I'm a realtor with Pivot Homes powered by eXp Realty. I'm going to share with you everything you need to know about how to purchase your next home. I am in Virginia, and if you happen to not be, that's okay. As long as you are still in the United States, most of these tips are going to apply for the majority of homebuyers. Tip number 1. Are you financially ready? So you need to have a credit score of preferably above 640. There are lenders who can go lower to maybe 620, and some even go as low as 580. But you're going to have to pay a lot more in interest for that type of loan. So if at all possible, get your credit score up to above 640. And if you don't know how to exactly do that, we can have you talk with one of our preferred lenders, or you can go somewhere like myfico.com, which will give you lots of great tips on how to raise your credit score. And if you don't know what your credit score is, go somewhere like Credit Karma or one of those free services. Most local banks will have that as a free service also. Now let's talk about how much money you really need to buy your next home. Most should expect on spending about 3.5% of the sales price for a down payment. This is what an FHA loan requires. Now there are military buyers where you're active duty or retired where you will qualify for a VA loan. And VA loans require no money down. There are also things like USDA loans, where you live in a more rural area and you can qualify for zero down if you're considered a low-income borrower. There are also government grants and programs that give assistance for down payments. Plan on having at least 3.5% down. That way, in case you don't qualify for any of those, we can still get you into a loan. Now, there are closing costs, which are the fees involved for borrowing the bank's money for the next 30 or 15 years. Also included are title insurance, where they will make sure that the person selling you the home has the legal right to do so. Nobody wants someone else coming back after the sale saying, hey, I'm actually the rightful owner of that house. Don't want that to happen. There are now fees that your title or escrow company and or your closing attorney will charge for handling the entire transaction. All of those are considered closing costs, and they typically run 3 to 4% of the sales price for the home. So, for example, we're talking about a $200,000 home. If you had 3.5% for your down payment and roughly that same amount for your closing cost, you would need about $14,000 to purchase the next new home. Now, you can ask the seller to help pay for some of those closing costs, which does happen from time to time. But when you're starting this process, I would be prepared to have enough money to cover closing costs and your down payment. The down payment can be covered as a gift from a direct family member, but before you do this, please check with the lender that you're borrowing the money from and make sure that the type of loan you are getting, this is allowed. Employment. You will need to have been gainfully employed for at least a year, and you will need proof of that employment. You will need to show that you've got enough income and can prove that you have got a way to pay for your new home. This can also come from things like alimony, child support, retirement payments, or annuities. You're going to have all the documents showing your income during this process. Will be a very long list, and every lender will need a little different documentation. But in general, you will need to have 2 years of tax returns, 2 or 3 current paycheck stubs, bank account information statements from your bank accounts, and these could go back as far as a year and sometimes longer. Also, credit card statements and any other loans that you may have in those statements. They will also want to see any retirement accounts that you have and the statements from those. If you are self-employed, you typically will need to show 2 years of pay from this, and this is just the pre-approval. The final approval process will be much more thorough and they will ask for more information. So be prepared for that phone call. This process is almost as bad as going through TSA checkpoints at the airport. Probably worse. After this, they will come back with an amount they say you can afford. And you will also need to look at your budget to see what you think you can afford. Please do yourself a favor and don't cut this too close and give yourself no wiggle room. You will see in the next few chapters why, but mostly you do not want to be so close on payments that you can't afford to live life a little. And if something happens in the home and you're not covered by insurance, you will want to have a little extra so you can make those repairs. Remember, this is one of the largest purchases you will make in your life. Other things to remember if this is your first time buying a home. You may have things you want or need to buy for your new home, such as washer, dryer, lawn care equipment, tools if you don't have any yet, buy new furniture, and the list could go on. But it's always good to think about these items as you're deciding on a price that you can afford monthly. Another big deal, and listen very closely, because this can ruin your deal. Do not, I repeat, do not quit your job, buy a boat, a new car, or any other high-priced items until after closing. If you have to, and something has happened, please discuss with your agent and lender to make sure that this will not ruin the deal. Choosing a great realtor. Now, a lot of first-time buyers don't know that it doesn't cost anything to work with a real estate agent to help them find their next dream home. This cost is typically built into the price of the home. Most of the time it is about 6% of the purchase price, 3% to the buyer's agent and 3% to the selling agent. Remember that this is potentially the largest one-time purchase you will have ever made and possibly will ever make. So you have the right to interview for your great agent. And you don't have to go with your best friend's daughter who just got her license last Thursday, simply because you know this person. Maybe you grew up with her, and maybe it is your best friend. And if that is the case, you probably should go with that person, and fantastic. But if you're going to go with someone else, make sure you interview agents. And here are some great questions that you should probably ask them. How many buyers do you typically represent in a year? Are you a buyer specialist or a listing specialist? Typically, you want to find someone who works primarily with buyers or works with both. There are some agents who work mostly with just sellers, and this may not be a great fit. How many buyers do you represent at one time? If they tell you 15, that means they have a team of agents, and they're more likely going to have you work with an assistant the majority of the time. Are you a full-time agent or a part-time agent? This could be a part-time job for them. If so, you may have to wait until they are free just from their other job just to show you the house of your dreams, which could cost you your house of the dreams. Do you have any recent reviews or testimonials from past clients? It's important you know what other people have said about this agent, what it was like working with them. They may be a new agent, and this could be a good thing. Most brokerages require new agents to be mentored by high-producing or training agents. So it's almost like getting two agents for the price of one. But it's something to ask. Now you've made the choice, and you'll be asked to sign a contract. This is to protect you and the agent, but I would recommend some verbiage in the contract that can release or fire that agent at any time up to the point that you sign the purchase contract. It's now time to start the best part of the journey and actually looking at homes. I'm sure you already probably have been looking, but now it's time to really, now that you know what you can afford, really taking it seriously. So every agent has their own website and mobile app that's branded to them. Highly recommend that you use their or her mobile app or website. And please do not use Zillow. Zillow, as it may be nice and user friendly and it's very neat and pretty, it is out of date notoriously out of date. Typically, sometimes a month, maybe even longer. Sometimes a week. But nothing would be worse when you think you have found your perfect dream home on Zillow and you call your agent saying, hey, we have got to go see this home. And he goes to set the appointment up and it went under contract a week ago. And you're sitting there looking at Zillow going, no, it says it's available. Don't use it. Your agent's website is very much up to date, typically within about 15 minutes of anything happening in the MLS. Oh, and don't even get me started on those Zestimates. They're the worst. Sometimes 20, 30, 40% off of what the actual value of the home is, up and down. No rhyme, no reason. Don't use it. Okay? So, now that we've gotten to that point, the other nice thing about using your agent's app or website is every time you go and look at homes and favorite them or dislike a home, it allows your realtor to know what you're liking and what you're not liking. So at that point, he can now narrow your search down, and if anything comes on the market that he thinks you should see, they will let you know. So, favorite all those homes, go to his or her website, and use that. Now, at this point, you've given all your information to your agent, the area, the schools, the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the size of the home, if there's any must-haves or have-nots for your dream home. Oh yeah, and how much you can afford. This now becomes the best part of the home search, choosing a home to actually go and see. Here at Pivot Homes, we've created cutting-edge technology that will help save you a lot of time. In some cases, up to 85% of that time. With your own VR headset, and we have high definition 360 video that we will take your choice of homes and we will go tour for you while you're at work. You get home from work, put your nice VR headset on, and tour all the homes that we went and videoed throughout the day. At that point, you can now choose which of those homes you like the best, or which of those homes you like the worst, because there's nothing worse than getting to a house that you've spent all day driving around to just to see that there's a bunch of power lines running through the backyard, or junk cars in the front yard, or junk cars in the backyard, or there's just a bunch of nuances that drive you crazy about certain homes. So, once we've got that done, you'll get your search down to 2 or 3 homes that you actually like and want to go see. Now, we'll go out in person, touch them, feel them, smell them, do all that fun stuff, and we'll spend an hour, 2 hours in each home instead of running from home to home to home, and then you're forgetting what you saw. But narrow it down to 2 or 3, and we'll go see those. So, thanks again for taking the time to learn about your home buying experience and process with us here at Pivot Homes. Have a great afternoon. Thanks.